Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad Rameez and you are watching Flutter Fluency. So in this video we are going to discuss about two topics. First one is spacer and second one is divider. So both of these are widgets. If you go to your Flutterflow widget panel or widget palette, so you can see that there we have a divider and vertical divider. Then we are going to discuss about spacer. If you search spacer, so here you can see this is spacer. Okay, so later we are going to cover up the other widgets as well. So first of all, let's talk about what is divider. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to draw a vertical or a horizontal line, as these dividers already telling you what their purpose is, but if still you are unable to understand, so let me tell you. So basically, if you want to draw a line to show some of the widgets, let's suppose if you have a column widget here, and within the column widget you have your own container. So let's add a container. I just wanted to show you what the purpose exactly the divider is. So then like this, and we need to add a padding from each side. And now if we want to draw a line after this container, so you need to use divider. So it would be looking like this. Obviously this is not looking good, so you can reduce the opacity as well as the thickness to till 1. Okay, and we need to reduce the area so that it's look good. And then we have a divider, we have a container, and let's suppose if we are gonna wrap this widget with the container column and drag it to move up, because I just wanted to make a dynamic children. So right now we have a master column, then we have a children column, and within the children column we have a container, and now I'm dragging and dropping into the above column. Okay, now both of these are aligned, and when I select here, so you can see that it's like this. So if I add a dynamic query here, I'm gonna say random integer, so you will be able to see that after each specific iteration it will show the horizontal line as well. So I'm gonna make it, yeah, here you can see. So then we have a widget, then we have a horizontal line, then widget, horizontal line, widget, horizontal line, so that kind of thing. So this is basically a horizontal line, or we can say as divider. You can also change the color, you can also change the property of this divider to make it either solid, or if you don't want to make it solid, you can also make it dotted, which is showing dot 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 if it is not visible. So let me show you, and let me increase the spacing. Now you can see it's dotted, and if you want dashed, so it's dashed now, and if you want a dash dotted, so it's dashed, then dot, then dashed, then dot, so that kind of thing. Okay, so you can also manage the height and width sometime, because it's by default it's taking more width. I don't like much width, just this divider is showing, so I can manage it according to my own taste. Let's suppose I'm gonna say 2 pixels only, or 4 pixels only, so now it's very much closed with each other. Then we have indent. So indent means that, so basically indent means that if you want to show the spacing from the right side, so you can also add a spacing from the right side. Here you can see if I'm gonna make it to 12 pixels, so it's increase, so the divider is taking the 12 pixels of spacing from the leftmost side. Then we have a divider, and we want right side as well, so we need to add an intent as well. So now you can see that, so it's like this. Okay, so width is obvious. If you want to make sure that your width wouldn't be exceed till 100 pixels, so you can add the 100 pixels, which is optional by default, and if you don't add, so it will take the whole space. Let's talk about the vertical divider. So basically, let's suppose if I have a container, and in my container I have a row, and within the row we are gonna add the same image, circular image, which we have already discussed in the yesterday's video. So let's suppose I'm gonna make it to 60 or 40. Okay, so we have an image, then we want to show, now I'm gonna add 8 pixels of spacing here. And now if I want to add a vertical divider here, so it will be looking like this. Okay, now I'm gonna make it to dashed, and color would be primary with the little opacity. Okay, and the thickness would be 1. Now you can see. Okay, so basically if you want an horizontal vertical divider, so you can use this thing. So if I need to add an intent, so use similar thing. So it will be making space from top and bottom. Okay, so it is good, sounds good. Now let's manage the width. So I don't need to add much width, so I'm gonna make it to 4 only, so that it will only take the space of width that we have in a divider. So let me add a start spacing to 12, not a 12 but an 8, and end spacing to 8, so that it will look cool. And now you can see that the divider we have successfully achieved the divider. So let's talk about if I'm gonna add a horizontal divider into my row. So is it possible or not? So no, it is not possible. Horizontal divider is only be added into the column, and vertical divider is only be added into the row, because it will be taking the all the width, available width or height that our parent widget have. Okay, so it will take all the width. But if you add a specific height or width, then it is possible, but initially it will do a crash. So it's better if you want to do this thing. So you can firstly you can add or insert any kind of container, so that you can make sure that your height and width is fixed, and now you can freely move or drag your divider. Yeah, here you can see divider can only be added to the column, even it is not added into the container as well. Okay, so yeah, it is possible if you want to add the divider into your row, but you need to add a column here. Okay, so let me add a column here now, and now when I move and drop it here, so you can see that the divider is added, but it is not taking much space. So now I'm gonna make 200 pixels, and now the divider is there. So I'm gonna make it to the center, and now it's look good. So now I'm gonna change the dashed, and the color would be like this. So cool. So yeah, that's how you can add the dividers, either a vertical or a horizontal divider. So let's talk about, so let me remove the media dynamic query. Let's talk about how we can use the spacer. Okay, so now let's assume we have we have this column, sorry, this container which is wrapped into a column. So I'm gonna remove my column because we don't need now. So now we have a container, and if I duplicate this container, so it would be looking like this, two containers side by side. But this time I don't want to show two containers side by side, but I want to make sure that one container would be on top of the page and other would be on the bottom of the page. Okay, so how can we do this thing? So we can do this thing by using multiple ways. Even we can add the side by side property, which is space between. So we can also make sure that each of the containers is side by side, or one is on top and other one is on the bottom one. But if you don't want to use this thing, or there are the multiple other options which you can do to achieve this thing. So what you can do, so you can search on spacer. So this is a dedicated widget to add a spacing between each specific widget. Okay, so here you can also see that I just added into a row, so it moved the divider to the rightmost wall and taking and occupying all of the available space. But similar thing if we want to achieve and if we want to add, so we can also do this thing by copy and pasting here, and now the spacer is here, and now I need to add here. So yeah, and now you can see that both of them are side by side. So if I'm gonna copy the spacer and paste it into before the image, So how it's look like? So if I'm gonna drag like this there, just before the wall, so now you can see that the spacer is taking all the other space. Even if I remove this contain column, so you can see that it's side by side and spacer is taking more space now. Okay, and obviously spacer come up with the flex property, which you already know. I have already talked about the flex property in the previous video. So if you don't get that point, so let me tell you again. So for the flex property, if you are using a flex property and if you have multiple spacing, so you can manage each spacing by your own using flex widget. Right now if I'm gonna add 2 3 4 5 whatever 55 85, it's not it's not acting upon that flex widget. But if I duplicate this flex widget spacer, so now we have two spacers, and if I move this spacer across the other part of this vertical divider, and now if I'm gonna manage the flex properties, so the spacer will increase the size or decrease the size based upon the flex property. So let's suppose I'm gonna add 2. 2 means that taking the twice or space of other spacer. So for example, this spacer is taking 100 pixels of space, so this pixel spacer is taking twice the space than this spacer, which is 200 pixels. Even if I'm gonna make it to 0.5, which means that not 0.5 but a 5, so it means that 5x spacing of this spacer. So yeah, this is all about the spacers and dividers. So you can enhance your app capabilities. It's better to use the dividers and spacers into your application to beautify your user interface. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you into the next video.